Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, I'll take you on the next chapter of the emotional love journey between LyTuDiep and CEO James, a couple who once weathered countless storms to finally walk hand in hand toward their shared future. After all the stumbles and heartbreaks, they chose to trust, to forgive, and to continue moving forward together. Their wedding was not just a grand celebration, but a milestone marking a love that had been tested and proven over time. And then, joy followed joy. In their new home, they welcomed a little angel, a healthy, bright-eyed baby boy, the most precious gift life could offer them. Diep, once a girl doubted by many, has now become the woman cherished by James' entire family. His mother, who once looked at her with hesitation, now shows nothing but pride and affection for the kind daughter-in-law who has brought light and laughter into their home. Love, when forged through trials, becomes even more enduring. And today, in their cozy villa filled with laughter, we'll look back at the journey James and Diep have taken to see that while happiness may not come easily, once it's found, it's truly something to be treasured forever. Join me in watching the full video today to fully embrace the peaceful and joyful moments they now share. After countless days filled with trials, misunderstandings, and unspoken pain, James and Diep were finally able to hold hands and step into a new chapter of life, a chapter called Complete Happiness. Their grand wedding was more than just a ceremonial event. It was a celebration of love, a symbol of triumph over fate and hardship. That day, the sky was clear and blue, as if blessing their momentous occasion. The venue was adorned in elegant shades of white and gold, refined and luxurious, like a scene from a modern-day fairy tale. Friends, family, colleagues, and longtime business partners gathered in full. Joy filled the air as heartfelt wishes were offered not just for a marriage, but for a love that had endured storms to finally be true and whole. Diep stepped out in a pristine white wedding gown, her delicate veil fluttering with each graceful step. All eyes were on the bride, not just for her gentle beauty, but for the serenity that radiated from her gaze. James, the handsome, successful man who once nearly lost this love, now stood proudly beside his bride, embraced by music and endless applause. When they looked into each other's eyes and exchanged vows, the crowd held its breath. Tears welled in many eyes, for everyone knew how much strength it had taken for them to arrive at this moment. Their love stood as a powerful testament. When there is trust, when no one lets go, no storm can defeat a heart that truly loves. The celebration unfolded in a warm, joy-filled atmosphere. No more social boundaries, no more caution. Only laughter, delight, and the belief that with the right person, every hardship becomes worthwhile. From that day on, James and Diep officially began their journey as husband and wife. No longer two souls standing at opposite ends of the world, but one family, having found each other after everything, now building a future brighter than any dream ever imagined. Amidst the cheerful chatter, the flowers and the wine, amidst the blessings echoing from every corner, there was one person who stood quietly on the sidelines, someone who didn't belong to that joy, the only one unable to truly smile. Tianj. He didn't disrupt the ceremony, nor did he try to hold on to anything. He simply stood in silence from afar, watching Diep, the girl he had once loved with all the sincerity his heart could offer. Today, she became another man's wife, radiantly happy beside the man who had weathered the storms of life with her. Tianji understood. Sometimes love isn't about being the one who stays till the end, but knowing when to step back, so the other person can be happy. His heart ached with every beat, but there was no bitterness, no obsession. Tianj had lost Diep, not because he was unworthy, but because he simply wasn't the one she needed. After the wedding that day, Tianj made his final decision. He would leave the city, a place filled with beautiful memories, but also piercing pain. He chose to study abroad, not to escape, but to begin again, to rise once more stronger and wiser. He wanted to build his career, forge a new future, and above all, learn how to let go of the woman he loved. Truly let go. Tianji didn't say goodbye to Diep. He left everything in that final glance, a look deep enough for anyone to understand. Some love doesn't ask to be returned. It only wishes to be remembered with tenderness and respect. And then he left, taking with him a heart once shattered and a yearning to be healed. After the wedding, Diep officially moved in with James's family into a spacious, luxurious, and modern villa. Life there was like turning a new page, full, peaceful, and brimming with love. James's mother welcomed her like a daughter, always treating Diep with warmth and respect. As for James, he cherished her like a priceless treasure, never letting her worry about a thing. Yet, amidst all this seemingly perfect life, deep in Diep's heart remained a small hollow, a quiet longing for her old home, the place tied to her youth and all its humble struggles. It was the sunny porch, the lush green garden, the crowing rooster in the early morning, and the little dog curled up at the foot of her bed. That land may not have been luxurious, but it was filled with memories, from a time when all Diep had were 2 empty hands and an unyielding heart full of hope. So whenever she had free time, Diep would ask her mother-in-law and James for permission to return to that modest home. She'd wear her old shirt, tie her hair up simply, and carry a basket out to the garden to pull weeds, trim branches, and tend to the vibrant rows of vegetables. Sometimes she'd even carry freshly picked fruit to the market, not because she needed the money, but because she missed the feeling of those days, when every coin earned came from sweat and a smile. The old neighbors welcomed her return with joy. Some gave her a bunch of greens, others gifted fresh eggs. Everyone admired Diep, the same kind, hard-working girl who had now become the wife of a successful CEO, yet still lived with the same humility and sincerity. And for Diep, every return to that little house was a time her heart felt warmed again. Though she now had everything, a loving husband and a perfect home, those simple, rustic moments of the past would always remain an irreplaceable part of her soul. Beyond the peaceful moments in their new home, Diep also began to walk alongside James in his work, a realm he had once borne alone. From a girl unfamiliar with the corporate world, Diep gradually became a familiar presence at James's company. She didn't hesitate to support her husband in handling major responsibilities. During important meetings, she would sit beside him, listening attentively and gently reminding him of the small things others might overlook. James, who had grown used to making big decisions in solitude, now found his heart steadier with Diep by his side, not just as a presence, but as a profound source of emotional support. She accompanied him to the wood factory, where the scent of fresh timber blended with the hum of machinery in a familiar symphony of labor. Diep wasn't afraid of the sun or dust. She observed every detail carefully, chatted with the workers, and shared thoughtful feedback with James. Her sincerity and humility earned the affection of everyone she met. But most meaningful of all were the trips to disaster-stricken areas, where James came not only as an investor, but as a man with a deep sense of social responsibility. Diep was always by his side, not to stand behind him, but to stand with him, facing the losses, seeking solutions. She talked with the locals, noted every small detail, and offered perspectives James himself hadn't thought of. Amidst the mud, wind, and despairing eyes of flood victims, Diep remained gentle and steadfast, a sight that moved James deeply. With Diep beside him, James discovered a new version of himself, softer yet stronger. In brief moments between their busy schedules, he would often take her hand and whisper, "Thank you, for being not just my wife, but a true companion in my life." In their spare moments, James often took the time to teach Diep the basics of economics. Their study sessions were light and gentle, sometimes held in his office, other times on a quiet, sunlit balcony in the late afternoon. James patiently explained each concept, while Diep listened attentively, carefully jotting down every detail. For her, it wasn't just about learning. It was a way to better understand the world of the man she loved. And for James, sharing knowledge with his wife brought genuine joy, because he knew that from now on, he no longer had to carry the weight of everything alone. And then, a miracle came, the joyous news that brought the entire family to tears. Diep was pregnant. After months of waiting and hoping, the home of James and Diep was finally preparing to welcome a new member, tiny yet infinitely precious. During the 9 months of pregnancy, Diep was lovingly cared for by the entire family. James never left her side. From every prenatal appointment, every flutter of their baby's first movements, to the quiet evenings when he comforted her through exhaustion. He couldn't hide his anticipation and deep emotion as he thought about the day their child would be born. The sweet culmination of a love that had endured countless storms. And then the big day arrived. In the hospital delivery room, when their baby's first cry echoed, James broke down in tears like a child. He clutched Diep's hand, whispering thanks to the heavens over and over, then gently kissed her forehead, this woman he loved and was more grateful for than words could ever express. Diep had given birth to a chubby, healthy baby boy, so adorable that even the nurses couldn't help but gush. He inherited James's deep eyes and high-bridged nose, and Diep's soft skin and charming smile. Though just born, the baby was incredibly well-behaved, rarely crying, and unusually alert. His bright eyes seemed to absorb and understand everything around him. The entire family was bathed in happiness. James held his son close, pride gleaming in his eyes. Diep looked at him and smiled softly. They didn't need to say anything, because all the love in the world had already been spoken in that moment. A family, a new journey beginning, and a love that now had a heartbeat. As time passed, the baby, the embodiment of James and Diep's love, grew up each day in the warm embrace of his family. With every passing milestone, he continued to surprise everyone with his bright appearance and sharp, lively personality. The little boy had James's deep, captivating eyes, full of intelligence and awareness, and his mother Diep's radiant smile. Every time he laughed, it was as if the whole house lit up. His pure, cheerful laughter soothed even James's exhaustion after long, stressful days at work. But the boy was not only handsome, he also showed remarkable intelligence from an early age. As soon as he began to speak, he amazed the family with his memory, curiosity, and the quirky questions he asked that often made his parents burst out laughing. James would sometimes joke, "My son's definitely a future genius." Diep cared for her son not just with love, but with endless patience and tenderness. She taught him to be kind, respectful, and compassionate, so that he wouldn't just grow up with everything he needed, but also with a heart that knew how to empathize and share. The whole family surrounded the boy with affection, and every day was filled with laughter. James often said, "It wasn't until we had him that I truly understood what it means to be complete." It seemed like everything had finally fallen into place. James and Diep were living in a blissful home. Their son was growing up healthy and smart, and life felt peacefully perfect, as if nothing could ever go wrong. But then, one day, the storm returned. James received an urgent phone call. On the other end of the line, a tense voice delivered a shocking piece of news. John, the man who had once brought so much pain to James and Diep, had been freed from prison through the interference of a mysterious underground force. A cold chill ran down James's spine. He gripped the phone tighter, his heartbeat quickening. Old memories came flooding back. The schemes, the threats to Diep's safety, to their family, and to the company. He knew too well that John was not someone who would let things go easily. That night, James said nothing to Diep. He stood on the balcony, watching through the window as their son slept peacefully in his mother's arms. Inside, a storm raged in his heart. Once again, he stood at a crossroads. Continue living in peace... or brace himself for a new battle to protect everything he held dear. John is back. What will he do next? Will James and Diep be able to hold on to the peaceful life they fought so hard for? The answers await in the next episode. Don't forget to follow along to uncover the dramatic twists ahead.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người ơi, thì hôm nay video của mình tiếp tục, kênh của mình tiếp tục lên video về câu chuyện của James và lính tử Diệp nha mọi người. Do thời gian vừa qua thì có một chút việc bận nên mình lên video không có đều. Và mọi người ơi, mọi người hãy ủng hộ kênh mình hơn nữa nha. Tại vì hiện tại kênh mình đang bị bóc tương tác mọi người. Bây giờ thì số lượt xem rất là ít luôn. Mọi người hãy ủng hộ là bằng cách like, share cũng như là chia sẻ video và xem video thật là lâu nha mọi người. Khi mà giờ xem trung bình cao và kiểu mọi người like, share thì video sẽ được tương tác nhiều và kênh mình sẽ có động lực để ra nhiều video mới và nhanh hơn cho mọi người cùng theo dõi. Và mọi người ơi, nếu như là mọi người yêu quý kênh mình thì mọi người hãy đăng ký kênh, sau đó là bật chuông thông báo để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ video nào mọi người nhé. Và nếu như mọi người muốn chia sẻ video này đến cho nhiều người cùng biết thì mọi người có thể chia sẻ video để ủng hộ kênh mình hơn nha. Xin chúc mọi người có một ngày thật là vui vẻ và hạnh phúc.